I just built these two gaming PCs. One of them is all Intel and one of them is all AMD. And they both only cost $800. And in this video, we're gonna put them head to head to see which one is better for your money in that $800 price range by ranking them in 3 categories, which is upgradability, content creation, and overall raw gaming power. Now, if you watch videos all the time like I do, I know Intel gets a really bad rap, but after testing these two PCs for the last week or so, I was actually kind of shocked by the result. But before we get into the competition, let's see what kind of parts both of these PCs are rocking for this video. Starting with the stuff that they have in common. The PC case is the Gamdius Athena M4M. And Gamdius made this video possible by sponsoring it, and this case is around $90. Yes, there are some cheaper cases out there on the market, but this thing is super easy to build inside. In fact, I did a standalone build video for both of these PCs that I'll be posting very soon on the channel so that you can see just how easy it is to build in these. Now you can see that these cases are slightly different. One of them has a wood grain front panel. Now, this one is actually $5 more and it does not come with RGB fans, but if you're looking for that wood grain stealthy look, I think it's pretty good and it matches really well with the Intel PC that we're going to be using today because of the sleek black design of the Intel card. But if you go with the regular black version, it has a built-in RGB strip and it does come with one RGB fan installed in the back to keep the sleek design up front the same with a little hint of RGB that's not too overpowering. And then the cable management in the back is super easy because of where the PSU is placed. It makes it to where this PC case can look super clean in the back and in the front if you're into that kind of thing. Thanks again for Gamdius sponsoring this video. But both of these PCs are rocking the Apevia Prestige 600 watt PSU. This thing is C tier on the PSU tier list that everybody just really loves to talk about all the time, which could come back to hurt us later on in this video. But for right now, it gets the job done. They also are both rocking this Oli YOLO RAM kit, 32 gigabytes, 6400 mega transfers per second. It's a little bit fast for the AMD side of things, but nonetheless, RAM prices right now are crazy. I got these for $90, but at the time of recording the results of the tests, RAM prices are kind of crazy. So you may have to either be okay with dropping the CL rating down to like 36, or even going with something like 5600 mega transfers per second to stay in the $90 price range. Totally up to you and your call. The same thing goes for the 1TB SSD. We got the Patriot P410, and at the time of recording, you can still pick these up on Newegg for only $50. Amazon, they're like $10 more, but whatever the cheapest 1TB Gen 4 SSD is that you can find, go with that one because that's going to be your best bet. And to cool these CPUs, we're going to be using the ID Cooling 214 XT. One of them is the black version and one of them is the RGB version. There's only like $1 difference in the prices. If you want all the fans to match, you can buy the actual fans from Gamdius. If you would like to match your fans, it's going to be like 20 bucks extra, but it's totally up to you if that's what you want to do. But now for the fun stuff, AMD versus Intel. Starting with the AMD PC, we're actually going AM5 for only $800. Right now it makes 0 cents to go AM4 because DDR4 prices are absolutely insane. You're talking like $75 for 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. Literally pay 20 bucks more and get DDR5, and you can go to AM5. And that's what we did with the 8400F. This is not talked about a whole lot, but actually Linus did a video on it not too long ago. That 8400F, even though it is limited by PCIe constraints, still 6 cores and 12 threads, and has some really good gaming performance, especially in this budget. At the time of recording on Newegg, they're anywhere from $115 to $120, which is a steal. That's about the same price, if not cheaper than the Ryzen 5 5600, so why not go AM5? For the motherboard, we went with a Newegg open box motherboard. I've been checking these for the last month and a half, and every time I look, always an AM5 B650 micro ATX motherboard in that $99 to $109 range. Super good value. I've never had an issue with an open box board from Newegg. Just make sure it's sold and shipped by Newegg and you'll be fine. And for the GPU, we're going with the only one that would fit in this budget, and that's the RX 9060 XT, but not the one everybody loves. It's only the 8GB version. At the time of recording, you can pick these up for like $270 to $300. I mean, obviously, if you've got the extra $50 to $75, you can get the 16GB version. That'll make this thing even better, but that's not the purpose of this video. We couldn't spend more than $800, and this is what we got for AMD. But moving over to Intel, we're actually going back a generation because the Core Ultra CPUs are way too expensive to fit in the $800 budget for this video. So we went with the i5-12600KF. These things are around $145, which makes it more expensive than the AM5 CPU, but we'll make up for that in a minute. The motherboard, on the other hand, is also a little bit more expensive, but not bad. We were able to pick up this B760M. Both motherboards were from Gigabyte, which makes it a little bit more interesting for the video, but that was not really intentional. It's just what I found a good deal on. And the motherboard was like 120 bucks. So we did spend about 40 extra dollars on the CPU and motherboard for the Intel PC, but we make that up with the GPU, which is the Intel Arc B580. I finally got one of the limited edition models. It came in stock on Newegg, $249.99, $250 MSRP, and those have been pretty regularly at MSRP for the last couple of weeks that I've been checking the prices, and you should be able to get one too. Worst case, you pay $270, which they have been at for months. But now it's time to battle. And by battle, I mean I'm gonna rank these things from 1 star to 5 stars in 3 categories to see which one might be better. Starting with upgradability. Now, both PCs do have a pretty good upgrade path, even though the upgrade path for Intel is somewhat controversial because of the whole 13th and 14th gen CPUs dying kind of thing. But from everything that I understand, that is completely fixed as long as you buy a brand new CPU and update the BIOS on your motherboard, you should be fine. Now, I wouldn't put a 14th gen i9 on this motherboard particularly because of the power draw. It's crazy for this generation of CPUs, but upgrading to like an i7 14700K or even the 14600K is a pretty significant and really good upgrade from what we have in the PC right now. But we all know how AMD has been over the last few years, and if AM4 was any indication of what we'll have from AM5, we at least have support through 2027 of getting new CPUs from AMD. So I would still right now give the slight edge to this because even if they don't come out with anything extra, you can put a really good Ryzen CPU in the B650 motherboard with the lower power draw and you'll be perfectly fine. So I would give a slight edge to AMD when it comes to upgradability. The only thing that's gonna hold both these PCs back is the 600 watt power supply, but we had to try to stay in budget. But luckily, Gambius's case will fit GPUs up to 395 millimeters, so you got plenty of room for upgrades in that department. So for upgradability, I gotta give AMD 5 stars, and I'm giving Intel a controversial 4. But in the digital creator economy that we have going on right now, a lot of people wanna create content. So which one of these PCs is gonna give you the edge in that? So most of my audience is in the gamer world and they wanna stream and create video game content. So what I did was I just tested one game because I don't like live streaming that much personally, but I did live stream both of these PCs on my second channel, Matt Miller Gaming, where I test out a lot of these computers and post the benchmarks there. You're welcome to go watch it, but here's a quick rundown of what happened. I tested Fortnite and played one game on each of the computers. While we were gaming, we were live streaming to YouTube and recording the footage directly to the hard drive of the computer, as well as in a Discord call with some of my buddies. And the AMD PC did really well, like 180 to 220 FPS. It was super smooth, no hitches, no glitches. We even caught a dub. But to my surprise, the Intel gaming PC was phenomenal. While doing the same thing, streaming, recording, and in a Discord call, this gaming PC stayed at 240, 250, which those were the dips. Most of the time, it was around 270 to 300 FPS. While streaming and recording, that's pretty insane. Now, both of these should be perfectly fine for video editing, but because the 8400F is AMD 6-core 12 threads, and we have the Intel CPU, I am gonna give the edge in this competition to Intel when it comes to video editing, just based off my experience of editing off AMD versus Intel at the lower range. So I'm gonna give Intel 5 and AMD 4, which gives both of them a total of 9 stars heading into the final round, which is raw gaming performance. And I put these things head to head in 4 games. Starting with Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals has been a pretty demanding game since it came out, and we tested these at both 1080p and 1440p to make it as fair as possible. Since one of them has 12 gigabytes of VRAM and one of them has 8, we wanted to test in both. For the Intel PC at 1440p, we went with medium settings for all the tests. So when I say 1440p, it was default medium settings for whatever PC that we're running. No upscaling, no frame generation. I did try out upscaling and frame generation on my second channel. Those videos will be posted at some point whenever I have time to edit them and put them there if you want to go see more specifics on either one of these. But Intel got 55 to 65 FPS, sometimes in the 70-ish range. It just depends on how much action was going on in the game. But at 1080p, the FPS numbers jumped up to around 100 or so FPS. But when it come to AMD side on Marvel Rivals 1440p, it was very, very similar. I would give the slight edge at 1440p in Marvel Rivals to AMD because it did stay around 70-ish FPS, way more than Intel did. And at 1080p, the same thing was also true. We stayed around 130, which was a huge jump in 1080p performance between AMD and Intel. But if we hop to a game like Battlefield 6, the results might surprise you. With the Intel Arc B580 getting 80 to 90 FPS at 1440p medium and 115 to 120 FPS at 1080p. Oh, in case I didn't say it, 1080p is at high settings, not medium settings, just clearing that up. But for the AMD PC in Battlefield 6, the 1440p performance was probably about the same, but 1080p performance was a slight edge to Intel because AMD only got around 100-ish FPS at 1080p. So it's kind of going back and forth right now when it comes to gaming performance. But we gotta try the unoptimized Borderlands 4 because that one's been kind of a hot topic. The Intel PC struggled a little bit. 1440p is the only way I tested Borderlands because it's kind of more of a story game, even though it is, you know, a first-person shooter style game. It's still kind of a story-driven to me, so like I don't think it's as important. Now I didn't play the open world part, I'm just playing the story, and we only got like 35-ish FPS when we did not use frame gen. But since I only tested this at 1440p, I did turn on XeSS for Intel with frame generation, and we were able to get 70 FPS, which made it a lot more playable and smooth, but not even close to the results that we got from AMD. The same settings with AMD, we got like 45 FPS, which is like 10 FPS more than what Intel was getting. And when we turned on frame gen with FSR4, it just blew it out of the water, like 140-ish FPS, which is crazy. Now, it could have to do with, you know, I was on two different parts of the game when I was testing this. I know, you know, I'm not a labs person. Like, I don't have the ability to do all the labs things like Linus and those guys do. But even if that's the case, I doubt we're gonna have that drastic of a difference. And then, of course, we tested it in Fortnite when we were not streaming, and the Intel Arc B580 actually did way better in Fortnite than the AMD PC. Similar to the results we had when we were streaming, AMD at 1440p at DX12 or 1080p at DX12, which in Fortnite it's very similar performance numbers. You might have 15 to 20 FPS difference. The AMD PC only got 200 to 220 FPS, whereas the Intel PC was 220 to like 260-ish. And then in performance mode, more of the same. This thing, the AMD PC did push close to 300, but it had drops into the 270s, 280s, and the Intel PC pretty much stayed above 300 the entire time we were playing. So this one is a very, very tough decision. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna give them both 5 stars for gaming because I had fun playing on both of them, and I don't think you could go wrong with either one. I know that puts it at a tie, but you let me know down in the comments which one you think should win. I mean, if depending on your game, I think you can't go wrong with either option. But if you want to know a great monitor, keyboard, mouse, and all that stuff that would go great with this for only $200, go watch this video.